friends, thanks for joining us. We can't thank y'all enough for all the views this week, amazing amount of subscribers. So don't forget to smash that subscribe button going into Grey Cup week because it's going to be a busy week. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit and Discord. And don't forget to leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
It's all Bombers today and a bit of CFL. So let's get right into it. Bomber Talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, field, or in the stands with a custom airbrushed helmet, goalie mask, or any type of project. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431.
And don't forget to tell them that Ray and Benny sent you.
One word to describe the Bombers' win over the Roughriders. Wow. Do we have the same word?
No, okay. But that's a good one.
I did not see that offensive output coming. And I'm not going to name any specific players right now or any stats right now, but I am going to tip my hat to Buck Pierce and the game plan and how the players were ready and executed. Of course, it's a veteran group. But, you know, when you had some bumps in the road, especially with that rough 0-4 start, the rough offensive start, not like it was offensive what they were doing. Offensively, the Bombers had a rough start. Plenty of folks questioning the trajectory of the team going forward, this team, but they stuck to the program. They trusted the process, and now they're going to the Cup. You know, like we saw things early in this game from Buck Pierce, where you know he was zeroed in and he did his work. Like the first play of the first quarter when you had Oliveira, Wilson, and Dembski in the backfield, and Oliveira goes into motion as a receiver. Wilson comes in front across of Caleros, fake the handoff, and Dembski gets the ball, and he gets that first down. And we can't forget to mention the run by Terry Wilson. Yes, it was not a planned run, but the execution gave him a hole to go near the end zone, and the way they finished that with the touchdown. The heavy set, which I love. Gabe Wallace was the fullback for Oliveira in the backfield, and then they used trip receivers away from Milligan. So you had Dembski, Wilson, and Lawler on one side, and then you had Dembski there for it's everything that I dreamed for in this game. Like, people who follow us know I love the heavy set. I love the trips receivers. I love the trickery. I love the jet sweep of Nick Dembski, and they had it there. So, man, wow. That's my word. That's my word.
Yeah, that's a fantastic word for it. And like you say, they were dialed in. The offense was ready. Buck Pierce, yeah, like you say, probably called his best game of the year. And the execution of it all was fantastic, right? There was no glaring errors. Everyone stepped up. We complained about the O-line, saying, hey, they need to step up. Solid game from them. So yeah, all around the offense got the job done. And my word, I'm going to go with exhilarating. I was sitting there in the stands, and you could probably still hear it in my voice a little bit. It's still not fully back yet.
Yeah, boy.
But it was fantastic being in that stands. Like it was one of my most fun games that I've been to in a long time. And I've been to the last West finals, like plenty of them, right? And the one against Saskatchewan, whereas the Bombers offense was clicking, but the turnovers were happening, right? They got to the end zone. Dembski bobbled it, interception, fumble, I think, at the goal line. So stuff like that. But this was different. The Bombers were getting down there and they were finishing. How many times did we say we need to see touchdowns, Bomber touchdowns, no field goals, right? Yeah. And it happened. You know, and yes, like you say, trust the process. I mean, we're going to sit here and complain about shit when it's not working properly, and we don't know the inner workings of everything, right? We're just fans sitting there watching and going, oh, why the heck did he complete that? Or why didn't he run through that hole? It's like, well, we don't know everything, right? But they trusted the process, and they showed it on the field there.
Man.
It was a fantastic freaking game. Like, honestly.
Fun to watch. I'm jealous of all of y'all who were there. I couldn't make it, but I'm sure y'all yelled enough for me. It's funny that you mentioned that Saskatchewan game. Like, what a beautiful day to watch the game on Saturday compared to that crazy Sunday in 2021.
I didn't even put a jacket on. Like, I had my winter jacket there. I just had my sweater.
Oh, you know, this Saturday.
This past Saturday.
I thought you meant that minus 35 game. I was
my beard was frozen that game.
That was such
this one, no jacket. And you know what? Shout out to the crowd, because that crowd was on it, like from beginning to end, like nonstop. And the Bombers mentioned it, and even Trevor Harris mentioned it at one point, saying, "Hey, yeah, that crowd was into it," and we were. They were just all over it, on top of it, and yeah, it was a fun atmosphere to be in. And like you say, it was nice out. You weren't just sitting there shivering. Like it was fine. It was 10 degrees at least.
Man, the Saskatchewan fans who got mad when Dave Naylor said that Winnipegs were the best fans in the league now, well, proof is in the pudding.
Well,
Sellouts, they make a difference in
exactly.
the game. So good.
Exactly.
For you, what was the most surprising stat of the West Final?
I mean, I'm probably going to go with the 12 for 22 on second down, just over 60%. And you compare that to Saskatchewan, who were 7 to 22 for 31%.
Yeah.
That is wild to me. And the Bombers were, well, like you said, the offense was clicking. And how often do you see a team go 60% on second downs like that? And they were getting the job done. And it wasn't always short ones that they were completing. Yes, they had a lot of positive plays on first down, but they figured it out on second down, and they were keeping drives going.
Yeah. I sent you a message about the stat that I want to talk about, but I obviously sent you the wrong category. I sent time of possession. I meant
Oh yeah.
conversions of second downs because I went nuts about that last week. I said they specifically had to hit 50% to win the game, and
Yeah,
they
you were
hit
right.
60.9%.
Yeah.
Like you said, 12 out of 22, and they dominated the line of scrimmage. And I think I'm going to go back to Buck Pierce again. It goes back to also bringing back the Canadian Swiss Army knife. We haven't heard that nickname a lot this year. And we wondered
Yeah.
out loud a couple times why the Bombers weren't employing more of Dembski all over the field, having him more in motion, using him in running plays. And we saw that in the West Final. And it must be a nightmare for DBs and linebackers to keep track of that dude when he's all over the field. What do you commit to? And then you're looking at him and they hand out the ball off to Oliveira on the weak side. It's crazy. So yeah, the conversion of second downs was a huge stat, dominating stat.
Well, I think it was funny because the first run of the game went to Dembski on one of those plays. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
even Oliveira getting that first run; it was Dembski up the middle, kind of thing. So yeah, and they brought it back, and maybe they've just been saving it and let people think, hey, we're not going to use this really this year. We're kind of done with it. But throwing that in, just like you say, it messes up the defense and it makes them be more aware of who's going to get that ball out of the backfield, right? So
Yeah. Phew. Again, that was fun to
I mean,
watch.
you can go. There's quite a few stats there that I would go with. Like, I mean, we talked about the touchdowns, 2 for 2 in the red zone.
Yeah.
And they got a couple longer touchdowns. Only one field goal attempt and one field goal made by Castillo. So they didn't really need to rely on him in this game, right? And then Zach Collaros with 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, just over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. It was just, and Brady over 100 yards rushing. And I know a lot of it came later because the Bombers focused a lot on the pass in the first half. And we said that. We know Saskatchewan's better in the run game. But they're successful in the passing game, and the Bombers took advantage of that, and they got that lead. And then in the second half, they went more balanced, and it was a lot more Olivera and running.
And this team with the lead. Oof.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. I wish I had the stat of how many times they've won going with a lead into the fourth.
Yeah, it's not often that they're going to blow that lead.
No, no.
No.
What play or at what point did you think the Bombers had this one? Have had this one? I'm gonna go with the second touchdown they scored when Lawler with 2:37 left in the first quarter. Yeah, I'm gonna go that early. I was all in at that point because I knew the way that they were attacking with that defense and the veterans talking about having leads already. That the team wouldn't fall apart. They, like we just said, the Bombers are a dangerous team with a lead. We've seen this Bomber team too many times and watched too much football not to recognize when they're zeroed in and on a mission. And this team has things figured out. Both of those TDs were, by the way, Lawler coming across the middle.
Yeah.
And on both of those routes, the O-line gave Collaros enough time for that long route to develop. And just can I also say quickly how they stopped Saskatchewan after that punt bumble by Lucky Whitehead? Huh? Like, are you kidding me? They allowed them 1 yard after that. 1 yard the defense allowed, and they had to settle for a field goal. So a little shout out there.
Yeah, it was. You know what? I'm cautious in games. The Bombers could be up 30-0 going into the fourth quarter, and I'll still be like, it's not over yet. Can we chill? They played Sweet Carolina, I think, with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then I think that's when Lucky muffed the punt after that. And I'm like, what's going on here? Let's not play this song yet. It's like doing the wave kind of thing. I don't like it, but
That's what got you upset.
yeah, I'm like,
That's
I
what
know.
got you upset. I was
I
wondering.
was I was feeling pretty confident that the Bombers were going to pull this out at that point, but I just
Yeah.
don't like messing with that stuff, right? So even after the first half, like you say, that second touchdown, even after the first half, I was feeling pretty confident,
Yeah.
right? And then the first drive of the second half, they got that stop, but the fake punt, fooled the Bombers, and they got the first down, and Saskatchewan scored, and now it's a one-score game. And now I'm sitting there going, okay, still feeling pretty good, but I'm kind of worried. I didn't feel good really until Saskatchewan went for that third down deep in their own end and
Oof.
did not get it, and the Bombers got the touchdown. At that point, I was good. I knew the Bombers were going to win, even with that muff punt later on in Sweet Caroline. But yeah, it's tough for me to think, hey, this game is over. I can't do it. So,
That's fair.
but I mean, the Bombers just didn't stop. They were relentless. Like you say,
Yeah.
the blocked punt, and then D came on the field and stopped them for a field goal. Then they had the fake punt. Yes, Saskatchewan converted that one into a touchdown. But then the Lucky Whitehead one, it's like, oh my God, like special teams is trying to give Saskatchewan a chance here. It's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? And we praised special teams a lot this year, right? And said what a great job they're doing coverage wise. They weren't great, or no, they weren't bad, but Alford probably
In
got
a
more
couple.
yards in this game than any other game this season against the Bombers, kind of thing, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, interesting. And it was some moments, but yeah, the Bombers were never really in trouble in this game.
Let's go to the players of the game then. Offense, defense, and special teams. You want to start with offense?
Yeah, it's hard to give to one guy, right? But since I called it and I said Claros was going to play a mistake-free game, go over 300 yards, I'm going to give it to Zach Claros because, like I said, 301 yards, 4 touchdowns. Really, there may have been one, but I can't think of really any other throws where I sat there and went, "What the heck are you doing, Claros?" Right? He was just fantastic on this game, making smart plays, moving around when he needed to. His O line gave him tons of time. Great blocking by them. So yeah, fantastic game from Zach Laurels.
That's old Zach Claros.
Yes,
Not
exactly. It
old
wasn't
as an
playoff Zach Laurels,
age.
right?
It was like, well, good Zach Claros.
Yeah, and we how many times have we complained about his last few playoff games, right? Saying, "Oh, what
Oh,
happened here is great Cubs," but yeah, he stepped up in this one, which is great because Saskatchewan had a lot to prove, right? You had Milligan,
oh
who
yeah.
they thought should have been MOP candidate from the West, right? I didn't hear his name at all in this game. And there was that D line of Saskatchewan's got some dogs on it, and they couldn't get through at all.
They were settled down.
Yeah,
Offensively, I'm going to go with Kenny Lawler. Hat trick of touchdowns, four receptions, 3 touchdowns. That's crazy. That's Randy Moss numbers. Remember Randy Moss against Dallas?
yeah,
I think he might have had the same thing, a 3 for 3 touchdowns or 4 for 3 touchdowns, something like that. Lights out. And it's not something that we expect just because I don't think there's that huge primary or secondary, depending on whose day it is with Dalton Schoen. We saw a couple of those games throughout the year, but to see it come back now, Toronto now has to be concerned about it. And
yeah.
there's even more pressure on that good defensive line that consists of like 7 or 8 great players that they have to get the pressure on. They have to collapse the pocket on Zach Caleros, or he will be able to get it to Kenny Lawler. And that backs people up, and then you'll have the underneath to Dembski like you had, or Oliveira. So just great things happen, or happening in the West Final.
Yeah, and even on that first pass, I think it was for 60 something yards or whatever, 69 or no. He had Lawler, like Lawler had his guy beat. And
Oh
if
yeah,
Zach could get it out in front of him a little bit, it's a touchdown. Like he doesn't have to come back to that ball and get it all. So he probably could have had 3 catches, 3 touchdowns kind of thing, right? So
big play Kenny Lawler, and he could have broke that other one.
yeah.
Dang, if he
Yeah.
broke that arm tag and kept going, damn, that could have been a touchdown. But I'm not going to complain. Defensive player, I'll go with Retta Cramdy. I was really impressed early by Retta Cramdy, maybe even calling him Defensive Player of the Year on the Bombers at one point, and then he slowed down. Folks are wondering where Retta Cramdy was or is, and he was just all over the field last game. Tackles, getting a sack. You talked about the drive where Saskatchewan went for it on third down.
Yeah.
I believe deep in their territory.
Yeah.
I believe he was the one who stopped Woolette on the goal line. He was the one who also stopped Woolette out in the flats. And he was the one who tightened the window on that ball that Tyrell Ford later on batted down on a third down gamble.
Yeah,
So
that's the one in their own end.
yeah. Was that the same drive?
No, it was a
That was a
different
different
one.
one.
I think this was the third quarter one when they went for it
Yes.
deep in their own end.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The two different ones.
Yeah, yeah,
At least I thought I said that. I don't know. I've had a couple beers again.
yeah.
That's the theme here. Sometimes, folks, beer and football, beer fueled fan takes. Any which way, Kenny Lawler, and like you said, that opened up the short passing game and prolonged drives. So Kenny Lawler, big play. Kenny Lawler got it for
You
me.
went back to Kenny Lawler. You were talking about Reddick Ramsey.
Oh yeah, sorry, Reddick Ramsey. I just looked at my titles. I'm like, oh yeah, right. Sorry, defense. See again, a couple beers in. That's
That's
allowed
awesome.
on Ray and Vinny Talk
Fantastic.
Sports. Oh my gosh, should I stop? Nope. I'll crack another one.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
West final win. Why hold an empty warm can?
Exactly. I'm going to go with Evan Holm. Dude had a couple big plays, a couple big knockdowns early in that first half
Yeah.
that really set the tone a bit there and made it show Saskatchewan, hey, this is not going to be easy because there was guys that looked like they were open and maybe Harris was a little slow on the throw, but Evan Holm and it's not even just knockdown because usually when you're throwing your body in the air like that and trying to get your arm on there, it leads to a pass interference.
Yeah.
And he made clean plays on those where there was no question or anything that you thought, okay, they can challenge this and go for it, or get it. I mean, so yeah, he was fantastic. He stepped up, and it's funny because we talked a lot about Evan Holm last year. We didn't mention his name as much this year with the way Tyrell Ford was playing and all that.
Yeah.
But quietly, he had a decent season, and he stepped up in this West final game.
What do you got for special teams?
Special teams was tough because they had a rough day, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I went with Shane Gauthier. Dude had 3 tackles on special teams, and you know what? He stepped up in that role when he was probably looking at being the guy to come in for Big Hill, right? And then you kind of get demoted from that, and Tony Jones took over there. So I gave it to Gauthier. He did his role on special teams and played a good game.
I'm gonna go with Jameson Sheehan. He was
Yeah.
surprisingly out there a lot.
Yeah, for the amount they scored.
7 punts. Yeah, they beat them soundly, but he was out there for 7 punts and averaged more than 40 yards a punt. He's still a great directional punter. The coverage wasn't great, but there were a couple punts where they're inside the hash marks where you could have got it more to the sideline or you'd hope like to. But I think just overall game, he had a solid game. Solid. But like you said, it was hard to pick just because we're being picky.
Yeah, I mean they were probably the worst group of the team, really, but they still did their part. I think Sheehan also had a punt that bounced out inside the 20 as well.
Yep.
So,
yep, not bad. Inside the 10.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Hey man, Castillo was 1 for 1. I mean they got it done.
Yeah, did it.
Exactly. And the thing is usually when special teams has 3 plays, 3 big plays in a game like that, it doesn't bode well for the team, right? But the defense are like, hey, we got you. We're gonna step up and finish this off. And besides that one fake punt that led to the touchdown, the other 2 plays, like you say, just led to field goals, kind of thing. So they really, like I said, the Bombers were dominant in this game. The game was close at times, but it was never really close.
No.
They were getting it done. The Saskatchewan D could not stop the Bombers. And like you mentioned, even that Wilson third down scramble or sneak for 1 yard turned into 50. And it probably would have been a touchdown if he ran out of gas.
Totally. I'm not used to this.
Yeah, you could tell. And I'm like, wow, how did he not make it? But then I'm looking going, oh crap, that was a 50-yard plus run, right? Kind of thing. So I get it. The guy's not used to that. So and then even the touchdown, the Brady Oliveira touchdown after the Saskatchewan third down gamble was huge. And that was bully ball. And that's where, I was sitting in the stands thinking, okay, Ray's going to love this one because, yeah, it was bully ball straight down there and they couldn't stop him. And Gabe Wallace, like he came in there and made a great play too. So
what a beast that guy is and an athlete.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be great on that Bomber O line for years to come.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll just be one of those dudes that plays across the line or if he'll like he's just a mountain of a man.
Yep, and it seems like, and I haven't heard anything, but it seems like the Bombers are going to this one fairly healthy. pretty healthy. Even Kyrie Wilson came in,
Yeah.
didn't get exposed out there after not playing for so long. But I haven't heard anything that would say, hey, the Bombers aren't healthy going into the Grey Cup. Last year, we had questions about Dembski and Dalton Schoen and all that stuff, and Big Hill, right? So hopefully everything is looking good on that side of the injury front.
Knocking on wood over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Knocking on wood. Let's move on to some quick shots. Bomber fans, don't forget, smash that subscribe button. Again, thank you for all the support this week. Grey Cup week is always fun on Ray and Benny Talk Sports because it always gets busy. We have a great time. We have a couple more bubblies, and we say some more fun stuff.
Yeah, and we're gonna record another one this week before a preview of that Grey Cup game. And hey, if you guys are down there, Ray's gonna be at the game as well. Check him out, find him.
Man, I was supposed to go incognito.
Oh, sorry, man.
Now I gotta buy a mask.
Luchador mask.
Where's the blue and gold luchador?
Yeah, there was one at the Bomber game actually. Not ours, not our guy, but another one.
He will never come out of retirement. You can't coax him out of retirement. The blue and gold luchador.
No,
the original.
The mask is gone. The mask is gone.
This is the original blue and gold luchador that made one appearance in Winnipeg in the student section. He's been to Regina and he fared well there.
Yes.
But, oof, that student section got him.
Yes. We just talked about that actually the other day.
Oh, God bless. Send my love to blue and gold luchador. Rest in peace, I guess. I don't know. He's like the Undertaker after he loses a casket match. He might come back.
Yeah. He might one day. I don't know. I wouldn't count on it though.
We got to get a poll or something going. Any which way. Let's move on to some CFL quick shots. What's the number one thing the Rough Riders must do to take the next step? You can go first.
I think really the biggest thing will be Corey Mace's experience as he goes on. You know, we saw this with O'Shea earlier. O'Shea made some questionable decisions, and you're sitting there going, whoa. Like, they even go back to the 60-yard field goal. I think it was with Medlock against BC when it was 3rd and 4 or something like that. It's like, dude, you got to go for this on 3rd down. You're not kicking a 60-yard field goal. So stuff like that. You know, and now we've seen Castillo hit those 60-yarders this year, so who knows? But it was questions like that for him. And I think as Mace gets better at those things and doesn't panic on a 3rd down when you're down 2 scores, it's a CFL. You know, you got lots of time, and he kind of panicked there. So I think as he gets better, more experience, I think that'll help Saskatchewan.
It's great that you say like O'Shea. Because like O'Shea, shit didn't really start to skyrocket until he got a veteran quarterback. And I'm not saying Trevor Harris isn't a veteran quarterback, but Matt Nichols also was a veteran quarterback.
Yeah.
So VA is now available. They have to be in those sweepstakes. They have to outbid possibly Calgary. Calgary got PJ Walker.
Well, they just signed him for a pretty good contract. I think I just saw he's making $265 next year or whatever. So I don't think they're going to be going after VA.
So VA, they're in on PJ Walker. VA, they have to go VA. I'm sorry. It just opens up the offense a little more.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if Trevor Harris is the answer. Plus, he's getting up there in age. So
no, Trevor Harris is in what's his name? 3 last names territory.
Yeah, but I think there'll be like even Toronto. Who knows what's going on with Chad Kelly for next year? They may be in that VA sweepstakes as well. So there might be a few teams after him.
Yeah, but it might be a little too gray area with Chad Kelly possibly coming back. That he's like, no, I want the job. I don't have to mess with this Rourke situation again.
Yeah, I could see it. Toronto may just decide altogether to just move on from Chad Kelly and not deal with that anymore, right?
Well, they had to make that. Can you cut a guy after he's been injured like that? Don't you have to wait the 10, 12 weeks to make the evaluation?
I guess. I mean, does he still have a contract for next year?
Well,
probably, right?
Yeah, but it looks
I think he did.
I guess. I don't know. There might be some CFLPA issues there. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go back to the Bomber game. Thoughts on Brian Cox Jr. giving Bomber fans the 2-fingered salute? It makes sense. At this time for the organization, this is an organization that plays on the edge. They've been getting those rough over the, plays and stuff like that. And it also makes sense from the lineage. This dude did that to Buffalo, his dad. Yeah. He was a Dolphin, possibly multiple times. So it just makes sense.
Yeah, I need context behind it. I know when I was trying to look this stuff up, I was reading other people, Saskatchewan fans saying that Bomber fans were giving them the finger constantly in the game. So who knows what they were saying to Cox. But you say he's a professional player. You can't really be doing that no matter what is being done out there. And then it goes back to the maturity of Saskatchewan players and from top down kind of thing. They're still not quite there yet. And that's one of the things Corey Mace is probably going to have to fix with this squad um, going forward to help them get to that next step to
Yeah.
avoid these kind of situations. So yeah, I don't.
Beyond, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Beyond starting quarterback, I think they might need a change in the front office.
Yeah,
They're not selling games out. This is crazy. With a team who's in contention, this cannot happen in Saskatchewan. Something is wrong, and I don't know if it's this Reynolds guy or what's his name, the general manager.
Jeremy
But
O'Day.
yeah, something has to change.
Yeah, I probably would have moved on from O'Day last year when he went after Corey Mason, got Corey Mason, let him grab a guy that he knows, someone he can work with kind of better because O'Day's kind of picking up the same guys, the same, like I said, not really, probably maturity is not the right word there, but guys that have those issues that will go, like you say, find that line and step over it and see what happens kind of thing. So they
Yeah.
may need to bring in different guys that are, buying into the program and will put the team first besides himself.
What do you think Jamarcus Hardrick was feeling after the game?
Dude got paid though, so it was
Yeah.
hard for him not to take that money, but I'm sure he'd rather be, well, I don't know if rather, but I'm sure he'd want to be playing in that Grey Cup plus getting paid at the same time. So
Yeah, he knows Winnipeg can afford what he deserves.
yeah.
What he deserves. Let's say that straight up. He's a great right tackle. He's a great tackle. He's a great football player. Uh, but hey, them's
It's
the
money, man. You can't
breaks.
blame the guy for going after that paycheck,
No,
kind of thing. So
not at all. Not at all.
no.
He has a family. You got career's not long.
No, and it worked out for the Bombers, right? Eric Lofton had a pretty good season as well.
Took him a few
And
weeks, but hey,
yeah. And then the whole line just played their best, probably one of their best games of the season. And now they're going to have another test to make up for 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago when Toronto's D line dominated them.
yeah.
So now they got to go out there and prove it again. But after watching the last game, hey, you feel better about it that they can handle that Toronto rush. And I think, yeah, obviously Buck Pierce and the Bombers will be hopefully more ready for it. But we've seen that Toronto defense has dominated the Bombers this year and even in the Grey Cup there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But
How many times did the Bombers lose to Toronto this year?
they lost twice,
How many times did they play Chad Kelly?
once, right? Yeah, because man, both games were close, right? They're like no one scored over 20 points in either of those games, and Bombers could have won both of those. Unfortunately, Castillo had his worst games of the season in those where he missed field goals and stuff, right? The Bombers still
Yeah.
could have won those,
So true.
even with the defense dominating Claros like that. So
No,
it'll be a
so
good game. It'll be fun. And Bombers,
Argos. Bombers got to beat the Argos in the Grey Cup sometime, but we'll leave that conversation for Wednesday.
yes,
I mean
yeah,
Thursday.
true.
We record Wednesday, release on Thursday.
Yeah.
Last question. Thoughts on Calgary hosting the Grey Cup in 2026?
I don't know, man. Randy Ambrosi said, "Hey, Calgary's not going to get a Grey Cup until the stadium situation is figured out." Now they're getting a Grey Cup. It doesn't make sense to me. How are you going to play a Grey Cup in that stadium? I would not have awarded them unless they were starting to build a new stadium or had plans to. So I think Ambrosi and the board again dropped the ball here on this one. Plus, that's 3 Grey Cups out west in a row. So yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that decision at all.
I don't agree with the decision because of the venue. I was just there on Labor Day. It's horrible.
Yeah.
The concourses are huge and wide, but you can't see the game. And they still have bench seating in that place, bro. There's no backs to some of these things. It's
That's
horrible.
terrible.
It's horrible. It's a great city to host the Grey Cup in, though. So let's hope somehow that Calgary is able to build a competitive team for 2026, not on the Bombers' sake, but let's hope they can build a competitive team that might make it to the Grey Cup and might start bringing people back to that stadium. and might start, and they might be able to sell, because Calgary needs an influx of interest in the CFL, to be honest with you. They're doing piss poor in attendance right now. They need all the help they can get, especially in that market. That's such a good market right now with a lot of young people, man. I work in theater and I was like, yo, what's with all these young people in the crowd? They have young people who are professionals, who are looking to be entertained.
And they were good for so long. It's it's not like, even with the Bombers, at some point, this domination is going to kind of run out, and they're going to have to rebuild things. I would hope the fans in Winnipeg would be like, oh, I'm not showing up until they're good again. I feel like we would still show up. I know sometimes there was lean years, for sure. When you're not winning, it's not fun after a while. But Calgary were good up until a couple of years ago, right? So to see this drop out there happening in Calgary, it's kind of wild to see that drop so quickly. But that stadium, like you say, I've never been there, but from what I've heard and what you're telling me, it sounds terrible, right? Oh. So it's like time to move on. Winnipeg's built one, Saskatchewan's built one, Hamilton's got a new one. It's time for this league and those stadiums to step up, and Alberta's got to get moving on those new stadiums as well.
I think the investment also in a stadium, in a good venue for big concert shows, will attract people. I believe it will. Calgary's growing, man. That's a hot city.
Yeah.
Please, Calgary, support your team. The West needs you.
Exactly. Yes.
Woo! What a fun Saturday that was, man. I wish I was there, but I was there in spirit. Man, it was great to watch and watch again and watch again, and I'll be watching it again on the plane ride there. And hopefully I'll be watching the Grey Cup on the plane ride home. But we'll talk about it on Wednesday. Yeah. Any last thoughts on the West Final? How much fun y'all had?
No, it was, like I said, it was fantastic. Crowd is fantastic. Sitting around some good people. It was fun. It was a blast.
I can hear by your voice.
Hopefully he'll be back soon.
You some of mama. Benny, you have anything to say to our friend?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and follow, and go Bombers, go.
Man, I wish I was with you dudes on that day. I have a hard time talking to you, but any which way. Join us this week for more Bomber coverage, Grey Cup week, Grey Cup day coverage. Don't forget to check out our interview archives. James Murphy, Chris Walby, James West, and many others talking about their time with the Bombers and their Grey Cup experiences. And also, please smash that subscribe button.
Yeah.
I got no quote. It's all about the Bombers this week. So go Bombers, go.
Yes, exactly. Fantastic, man.
Or if you're from the back in the days from this building, we used to say, here we go, Bombers. Here we go. Remember that?
Yeah.
And people used to smash those aluminum seats in the deck. Oh, such good times, man. Grey Cup. Hit that subscribe. Join us for more football action. Go Bombers, go. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Denny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.